The Volkswagen Golf Mark 7 is the first edition of the famous model that runs on natural gas. The car maker is offering a bi-fuel 1.4-liter TSI engine that uses natural gas as well as gasoline. Combined, the car can go 1,350 kilometers before it needs to be filled up. Along with its slow emissions, that makes it an excellent choice for people who spend a lot of time behind the wheel. Peter Weisheit of Volkswagen says the company has a long tradition in natural gas-powered vehicles. They built them back in the early 90s as a retrofit solution, and since 2002, they've been offering original solutions with natural gas, starting with the Golf variant. In the meantime, they've released a whole portfolio of natural gas-powered cars, with the Eco-Up, the Touran, the Passat and Passat variant, the Caddy, and the Caddy Maxi, and now the Golf TGI Blue Motion.
Golf TGI Blue Motion.
There isn't a natural gas filling station on every corner, so the TGI has all of their locations saved on its sat-nav. That makes it easier for drivers to find a spot where they can top up. A newly developed fuel cap allows drivers to pump the natural gas right next to the gasoline. At current prices, the TGI can go 100 kilometers at a cost of just €4, while CO2 emissions are low at about 94 grams per kilometer. That makes the Golf TGI Blue Motion one of the cleaner models to come out of Wolfsburg, where VW is based. Peter Weisheit says natural gas is especially useful from a strategic point of view. It's clean, even though it's a fossil fuel. And you can replace it with biogas, like he's doing at this filling station in Hanover. With biogas, you can drive pretty much 100% carbon neutral. The TGI has one obvious difference to the gasoline engine Golf. It has no visible exhaust. The letters TGI on the back are not to be confused with GTI, the acronym for the sporty version of the Golf. It's designed with Blue Motion technology to save as much fuel as possible. That makes consumption noticeably low at just 3.5 kilos of natural gas per 100 kilometers, which would burn about 5.2 liters of gasoline. Peter says the engine is basically a TSI engine from regular gasoline models, but it has extra injection nozzles supplying it with natural gas, which basically take over the process of powering the car. The interior looks like a standard Golf, only the additional meter for natural gas indicates that this is the TGI model. At the rear, where the spare tire is usually stored, the TGI has two 15-kilo natural gas tanks built in. The car also has a 50-liter gasoline tank, just like a normal Golf. Natural gas-powered vehicles are especially clean because natural gas is a particularly clean source of fuel. Peter says it's the fuel source with the lowest carbon content. All the others that VW use have a markedly higher carbon content, and because of that, they aren't nearly as green as natural gas. In Germany, the natural gas Golf starts at €23,400, making it just €1,200 more expensive than the diesel model. Porsche's Macan is hitting the streets. The technology in the Cayenne's little brother is based on the Audi Q5, but the Macan is much sportier, and its lines are straight out of the Porsche playbook. The car maker hopes the new model will prove as popular as the Cayenne. In Germany, the basic version of the Macan can be had for around €58,000. And Kia has unveiled the GT4 Stinger, a sporty concept car. Under its hood, the study packs a performance-optimized 2-liter gasoline engine that harnesses 232 kilowatts of power. That's transmitted to the rear wheels via a tight 6-gear manual transmission. Kia has not yet announced whether or not the 2+2-seater will go into series production. The Mercedes Sprinter is one of Germany's most popular delivery vehicles. There's also a 4x4 version with all-wheel drive that was developed to cope with even the trickiest winter conditions, like those found here in the Austrian Alps. The slogan for Mercedes vans is "Born to Run." Let's see whether that still holds true in the snow. Product manager Thomas Bonnet says that the Sprinter's big advantage is that it has a selectable all-wheel drive. That means that you can switch easily from 2x2 mode to 4x4 mode when the street conditions warrant it. And up in the Alps, that's more often than not. A 4-wheel drive can accelerate even when 2 of the 4 wheels can't find purchase on a slippery surface. The Sprinter 4x4 isn't really an off-road vehicle, but compared to the standard model, its chassis is 11 centimeters higher in front and 8 centimeters higher in the rear. Off pavement, the extra clearance makes a noticeable difference. The 4x4 is able to climb embankments, sharp rises, and other steep inclines more easily than the rear-wheel drive version. We met up with driving instructor Violetta Weikopf. She's going to show us how well the Sprinter 4x4 copes with extreme winter conditions. The first thing she decides to try is to stomp on the gas from a dead stop. Even though we're riding on ice and snow, she says, the Sprinter accelerates well. It's also easy to control. The vehicle doesn't understeer, she says, and sticks to the road well. Violetta says lots of people think that big, heavy vehicles don't handle well, but that's not true here. Even under terrible conditions like the ones today, there's a solid sheet of ice under the fresh fallen snow. The Sprinter is very easy to steer. It copes with the conditions perfectly, she says. The all-wheel delivery vehicle hits its peak torque at low RPMs. The 4-cylinder engine comes in 2 different performance classes. We're testing the more powerful 120 kilowatt variant. Its peak torque of 360 Newton meters is reached at just 1,400 RPMs. Violetta says that the Sprinter gives you confidence. The laws of physics hold true in curves like this one, which is why it's always important to hit the brakes early, enter the curve slowly, and accelerate back out of it. She's happy with how well the Sprinter gets back up to speed. That's the advantage of a 4x4, she says. That's a big plus in safety terms, but doesn't make the 4-wheel drive Sprinter a good choice for every driver. Mercedes chose to present the new model in the Alps for a good reason. Thomas Bonnet says the car maker is focusing primarily on commercial customers, for example hotels, that need shuttles to bring guests safely over snow-covered roads to their destination. But other customers could be those who work in forestry or on construction sites, people who have to drive on unpaved surfaces. The Sprinter is an all-wheel vehicle that offers more traction in situations like that, he says. Hotel shuttle driver Sven Kohl therefore falls squarely into Mercedes' target group of customers. We invite him to put the 4-wheel drive Sprinter through its paces. The explanation for how to use the selectable 4x4 function is explained in just a few seconds. The vehicle is loaded with 5 different assistants, including distance warning and blind spot warning systems, as well as ones for controlling high beams and lane departure. A new feature is the side wind assistant, which keeps the car on track even when the air currents are acting up. Sven says that makes a lot of sense up here in the mountains and improves safety. It means you don't have to put on the chains after every little snowfall, and you can take curves normally without worrying that you're going to go into a skid, he says. The interior of our test car is pretty much standard industrial fare, but there is one eye-catching detail. For a commercial vehicle, the central console looks quite attractive, above and beyond simply functional. Sven says the Sprinter's seat positioning is perfect and the controls are well arranged. Even the four-wheel drive selector is easy to use. It quickly starts to feel more or less exactly the same as the normal version of the Sprinter, he says. Thomas says the new model has a specific application. It's for customers that need more traction. That's a niche market, he says. The car maker only sells a few thousand units per year, but that isn't really all that bad for the segment, he says. Specifically, Mercedes only sold around 2,000 of the 4x4 Sprinters worldwide last year. In Germany, the four-wheel drive version of the workhorse delivery van costs around 8,500 euros, more than the standard Sprinter. Aston Martin conjures up images of James Bond and the many supercars that Q outfitted with high-tech gadgetry. Images that may well have been the inspiration for the Aston Lagonda in the 1970s and 80s. In 1976, one of the most spectacular cars ever developed in the British Isles made its debut and touched off a heated debate. Some said it was plain ugly. Others thought it had a certain fascination. Among them, a businessman from Hong Kong. But he wanted the car as a station wagon. Aston Martin never intended to build a station wagon version. So, in the late 1990s, Swiss company Russ Engineering got permission to convert a sedan into the one and only Aston Martin shooting brake ever built. The well-to-do buyer already had a sedan for special occasions, but he wanted his luxury and to take his dogs with him too. The Aston's 5.3-liter, 309-horsepower engine purrs along smoothly but powerfully. In the James Bond spirit, the onboard computer keeps the driver informed by voice.
Oil overheating. Water overheating. Low fuel. Brake fault. Ice hazard. Alarm time.
Aston Martin was showing off its technical prowess in the Lagonda, but nowadays, unless the cars have been overhauled, a whole lot can go wrong. The model's circuit boards and contacts were prone to corrosion. Wherever they could, the Swiss converted the shooting brake's digital instruments to analog, so when the driver pushes a button, he can see and feel the result. Only one Aston Martin Lagonda shooting brake was ever built. It's possibly the sexiest station wagon in existence.